time, oh, take this slow. We've got miles behind us, but miles to go. So let's just break this down to the simplest truth. You and I as one will always be better than two. The leaves ain't waiting, their colors changing like the times. And I'm taking, darling, would you be mine? And I hope you know I will love you for the rest of my life. Let's not waste time, oh, take this slow.
Sarah had a flat tire on her bike, so I got up on her bike rack, took it off, and went to Walmart to try to find a tire, but the tires there were so cheap, like the one that was on it, just super flimsy, you know, not much to it. You can find those for about $20–25. I went to a Trek store and they had another tire for about $30, pretty close to like this, flimsy and stuff. I decided to get one tire that was one up from that, and so then you do that, you're spending about $55. It's about twice as thick, not quite as aggressive on the tread, reflective stripe on the outside, and then it's an H2 hard case ultimate tire. It's kind of a dual on off-road tire. So we're going to put this on her bike. I had the baby powder out, baby powder the inside of the tire, and I'm going to get the tube so that way when the tire and the inner tube is in there, it can adjust itself without getting pinched and possibly a hole in it. So let's go ahead and get a new tube on it. And just like that, it's done. Of course, I probably got you know, maybe at the most an hour into taking this off and doing the actual work, but for the errands and trying to find the tires, probably like 2 hours into that. Back to riding.
We're in the historic part of the state park we're staying in, which is also very close to a noisy road. And Eric wanted me to do the tour today, but I had to work. But these buildings are supposed to be open till 5, but they're closed already, so I'm not sure what's going on.
They were incredibly industrious, and they lived in a time where they still thought utopia was possible.
They thought this was going to be a city with millions of people, and they wanted to be here at the start of a new era of humanity. They were determined, visionary folks who wanted to build a better world right here where I'm sitting.
They thought they could harness the Earth's energy and that they would live forever.
Gels in here.
Yeah.
Koreshan Unity Settlement at Koreshan State Park. Although the landscape and many of the buildings remain the same, the people who lived here have all vanished. This is the story of the Koreshans, Estero's urban pioneers who moved to Southwest Florida from Chicago at the turn of the 20th century and lived here until the early 1980s. After the end of the Civil War, many Americans were traumatized over thousands of lives that were lost and families torn apart by its destruction. People began questioning traditional religions and were longing for a better way of life. During this time, it wasn't unusual to find new religions popping up, formed by self-proclaimed demagogues and reformers of Christianity.
Scientific advances were just going crazy, and people's faith was challenged by that. They didn't know how to reconcile religion and science. And here comes this guy, Cyrus T, who promised to bridge those in a very comforting way. He had all the answers. And he had what he called a religio science.
Cyrus Teague was born in 1839 near Trout Creek in Delaware County, New York. He grew up listening to sermons delivered by his grandfather, who was a Baptist preacher.
Teague showed at an early age that he had a gift of oratory, and he would seem destined to follow his grandfather Tuttle. However, he decided to study medicine, and Dr. Teague graduated from the Eclectic Medical College of the City of New York in 1868.
As an eclectic doctor, he disagreed with many mainstream medical practices and strongly believed in the ability of the brain to heal the body. According to Cyrus Teague's personal account, he was working in his laboratory one evening when he blacked out and had a transcendental religious experience. Cyrus Teague claimed an angel appeared and told him he was chosen to redeem the human race. His description of the angel was that of a beautiful woman, and she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. Teague identified himself as the man-child, the ruler, the new Messiah, who changed his name to Koresh, the Hebrew translation of Cyrus, and founded a new faith called Koreshanity.
Cyrus Teague had what he called his divine illumination when he was 30 years old. And as part of that divine illumination, he saw God as both male and female combined. So from that point on, Cyrus Teague saw women and men as equals on earth. So in other words, in 1869 in Cyrus Teague's world, women were equal to men.
Teague claimed that this vision is what started the formation of the principles of Koreshanity.
Cyrus Teague wanted disciples. He was going to form a communal socialist society where everyone gave up their worldly possessions. Everyone was celibate in order to achieve immortality. You also needed to believe that the world was hollow. This was called his theory of cellular cosmogony, and that we lived inside of a hollow earth.
According to the theory of cellular cosmogony, all the universe existed inside the earth instead of outside. The sun was suspended in the middle and had a dark side and a light side that let off a beacon of light. It rotated on its own axis every 24 hours, causing daytime and nighttime. Cyrus Teague, Koresh, or Master, as his followers called him, had already been searching for the New Jerusalem with enough land for millions of his disciples to join him. As fate had it, the Koreshans were able to settle in Estero, Florida after purchasing 300 acres of undeveloped land for a very low price. In an area with almost no manufacturing or commerce, the Koreshans started close to 30 businesses. Among them was a sawmill to cut their own lumber, a boatworks business used for building and servicing vessels for the local citrus industry. They generated electricity, selling it to outside customers, and operated a very busy publishing company. Their bakery made up to 500 loaves of bread a day, enough to feed all the Koreshans, plus provide bread to their general store. Their original store was built in the early 1900s, right on the riverfront. The new general store was constructed much later, in 1920, along the Tamiami Trail, the first road connecting Miami and Tampa. It was the only store between Naples and Fort Myers. Himself in the founder's house, he suffered unbearable pain. He moved from the founder's house to a house on Fort Myers Beach, where he passed away on December 22nd, 1908. Newspapers across the country reported that Teed's body was not rising. His followers were worried, so they put Teed in a zinc bathtub, hoping he'd reanimate. But instead, he began to decompose. 5 days later, the health department ordered Teed to be buried. So a tomb was built above the sand to keep Teed's body safe while waiting for him to resurrect. The tomb was destroyed in a hurricane in 1921. For a while, those most loyal to Koreshanity did stick around, and it was business as usual. They continued inviting the public to trade goods and share their creativity. Among the locals who stopped by were some of Southwest Florida's most famous winter residents, Thomas and Mina Edison and Henry Ford. And that's what you see here today, traces of the past, some of them obvious, while others are more subtle, often shared by the descendants of the Koreshan unity. Descendants like Scott Ritter, who visits the Koreshan settlement with his family quite often. Scott's great-grandmother, Rose Gilbert, was a member of the planetary court. She remained a Koreshan her entire life, while his grandfather, Dean Gilbert, left the commune at 19.
Has to be the tallest, skinniest palm tree I've seen.
Can you get us all in the same picture?
Not unless I go half mile back. That thing is tall. Let's see, keep going back here. Still nothing. This is like a wide angle lens on this camera. There it is. Oh no, that's from. Okay, crossing another bridge because this is a little island right here. We might get into a wedding photo shoot going on. Well, actually, a whole wedding going on up here. Shh, don't tell them. We're not crashing it.
I don't want to walk back that way, because don't you remember at our wedding when we were on the beach and those people were jumping off the cliff going wah in the background?
Yeah, and
I'll let you watch it in a few weeks.
Yeah, and we were about 50 feet off from the ocean, and there were people playing soccer and stuff behind us.
Yeah, it was fun, but I don't want to be the people. Look how pretty, and we'd be on our ugly bicycles. If we had cute tandem bicycle, it'd be nice.
Flowers, these flowers are real pretty, and we did a Google Lens search on it, and what are they called, Sarah?
Spider lily or poisonous bulb.
Spider lily or poisonous bulb. I just stuck my nose in there and was like sniffing all up in there. So if I like get sick, you know, I don't know, end up in the hospital, that's why, everybody. Sarah can fix the video and
Mixed
show
with
us.
honey, the crushed leaves are applied to wounds and abscesses. Wounds and abscesses.
Oh, there we go.
They can be used to, the leaves and the bulbs can be used to induce vomiting.
Well, I mean, here's some like dripping stuff coming off that one, so should I lick it? No, I ain't gonna lick it.
The
Anyways,
entire plant is toxic.
Oh gosh,
especially the bulb.
I've been touching it, and oh man. And this was the big picture one over here. Okay.
Let's see what other good information I can find on Google.
Man.
What is the #1 poisonous plant? It's not this one.
Okay. Whew. Okay, let's move on, everybody. She won't let me have any fun and raid that wedding party going on, so let's do something else. Sarah is getting this tree with these lovely
Look,
pods.
there's nothing on the tree except for these blooms.
Oh, cool. Oh. Alright, what'd you decide this tree was?
It says it's commonly known as a cotton tree.
Cotton tree.
Also known as Malabar silk cotton tree or red silk cotton tree.
Okay. I think we saw one like this down at Homestead somewhere. But the bark, holy cow, these things are like super sharp. I'm barely touching them. And there's no way you'd climb this tree. Like, it keeps everything off, except for bugs.
It contains white fibers like cotton.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Wait, start over. What are you talking about?
Oh, well, it's machine shop, so they got one engine on a big belt with some, I don't know if those are some kind of wheels, and then it goes to this main shaft up here, which turns all these, and then you just connect items to it to run, like the bandsaw, the drill, and the planer over there. From the early 1900s to about 1946, they had this steam motor that produced electricity, and it provided power for the whole, I guess, compound area. Plus, they sold it to other communities in the area until 1946. A little steam engine electrical plant.
I know what that is. It's the engine and the air compressor.
Well, that's the big engine air compressor right there.
What's this one?
That's like another one for something for the steam, I guess.
I'm just proud I knew what it was. Aren't you glad I knew? Even though there's a sign right there, people, I just read it. Because I have no idea what this is.
Coils, generator coils, I don't know what that is. What do you think about the Koreshan settlement?
How did you say that?
I don't know. I saying it wrong.
We learned how to say it, but then I forgot.
Yeah, one of the videos we watched,
Koreshan.
which we'll show you, says
Koreshan.
it correctly. But
Koreshan.
So what do you think about
Koreshan.
what do you think about the settlement?
It's very cool, and very cool how well it's preserved. They had some different beliefs, but
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Like they believed everybody lived like inside the earth, and the sun was inside the earth. It rotated around.
And
that's kind of weird.
Where they got their energy.
I don't know.
And
But anyways, after the initial settlement, and it probably grew a little bit, and then it just dwindled down to like just the old people here, and then
I couldn't
a
have
few
lived here.
descendants.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because I would have had to leave my husband.
No. Oh, yeah.
So I couldn't have lived
That's right.
Couldn't
do
have
it.
lived here.
Not for us. Anyways, probably a happening place back in the early 1900s. Okay, there we go. We're going on. Bike ride.
Bike.
Go ahead and give a quick tour of Koreshan State Park. Now, it is about 3 miles or a couple miles off Interstate 75. Straight shot. And this is the entrance. No outlet this way. And that way you have all kinds of shops, restaurants. Let's go ahead and take a quick tour and I'll review the campground. Let's go. This is where you check in. As long as you're staying at the campground, you don't have to pay the park entrance fee, which is $5 per vehicle. Everybody was friendly. The park, you got the historic settlement to the right, boat ramp, picnic area, playground, and campground straight ahead. This park does offer a few hiking trails, nothing too extensive, and it has, of course, you can bike on it as well. It has some gopher tortoises, playground, dump station, water and electric at the campsite each have 50 and 30 amp. Put a map of the campground. Let's go ahead and start with site 1. There's 2 loops here, one way on each loop. Now the loop to the right, which is on the east side of the loop, when you come in, the campsites are on the left hand side, and they're a little more spacious, a little bit easier to get to. The road's a little bit wider here versus on the other side of this loop, which the road's a little bit skinnier, and if you're big rig, they're a little harder to get into. Probably not going to go through every site. This is a typical site. Here's site 3. Site 4. Here's 5 and 6. Site 7. Pretty nice. Bathhouse down this path. There's 8. Site 9, 10, and 11, 12, site 13, site 14, 15. Let's go ahead and do the tent area, and they have some Yurks here. Yurks, sorry. Site 16. Over here. So these are all pretty similar size campsites, tent sites. The Yurks, or glamping houses, like to be all about the same size as well. Number 23. Click on their website for how big they are. Campsite 25, nice and shaded. Yurk number 24. And campsite 26, looking pretty nice. Let's go ahead and turn around and finish the east loop, the RV sites. Circle around and take a look at this little curve again. We're on the east loop, and you can see it's a pretty sharp turn right here. Pretty much all the trailer wheels are going to be in the dirt over there. So then we jump to site 41, and you can see this road's a little bit skinnier, and there's trees to my right, and that is what makes it hard getting into this section of campgrounds, or of the campsites. If you're, say, 30 foot or longer and you got a long truck, had a booger getting that in there, and it's not even straight. So if you're going to be on this eastern loop of the campground, site 59 and 60 will be the easiest to get into. That's if you have a bigger rig. Site 44, there's 45, site 46, 47 and 48, 49, there's site 50, 51, 52, 53. You can see over here they do have a little bit more space to turn the truck getting into site 52, 54. There's site 55, and 56, 57, 58. And here are the two sites if you're a bigger rig on this loop. 59 and 60. You could probably get on these because you got a straighter shot getting in, like site 60 here. You just pulled straight up and then backed in. That's kind of the site I needed. Loop, sites 27 through 40, and the dump station is also this way. Again, it's one way. Stay to your left. All right, let's continue the tour of the Western Loop. Starts out with a camp host, and then which is site 27, and it goes to 28 and 29. If you can tell, there's a little bit more space between these and then the East Loop. Road's a little bit wider, and getting off the side over here, you can also turn the truck if you need to swing the truck out to park your camper. So I would definitely stay on this loop if you're a little bit longer of a rig. Here's site 31. It's a little bit shorter, but looks like it'd be easy enough to get into. And here's where it's a little tight because you got trees on that side. 32, 33, site 34, and 35. 34 and 35 are paved. I think it's a handicap loop. Site 36, easy to get into. You got plenty of room to swing your truck on that side. And 37 would be easy to get into because you got room to swing. Site 39, if you're a big rig, come on in there. That's 38, I'm sorry. Here's 39. And one of the easiest ones to get into because you have all the space to the right to park it. Site 40, nice big long site. So anyways, that's the little tour of the campground. Well, what do I think of it? It's a pretty nice campground. One central bathhouse. Does have water and electric. I can't remember exact price, but it's probably $30 to $35 like a lot of the other Florida state parks. 30, 50 amp each site, and water, dump station. Stay on the East Loop. You're going to want the last two sites at the end. You stay in the West Loop, you're pretty much good at whatever site you get. Fairly quiet. T-Mobile is kind of spotty, but good enough for Sarah to work. There is a road maybe a quarter mile away, a main road, I think Tamiami Trail. You do hear some road noise off that. Some at night. You get those guys that like to, race a little bit, I guess. I don't know. It gets a little bit, you can hear them, but get a little white noise in the background, you'll be good. How many stars would I give it? It'd probably 3.5. Just because it's hard to get in some of the spots. Privacy's not that great, and some of the sites are, well, just difficult to get into. But other than that, we like it. You're close to restaurants and stores and Walmarts, and I think Verizon, let's talk about that real quick. We got about 2 or 3 bars. Download about between 5 and 10, upload 2 or 3 maybe at the most. And like I said, T-Mobile right now, T-Mobile home internet, we're getting anywhere from 30 to 230 on that, and upload speed anywhere between 5 and 15. So okay, looks like they did a subscribe burn not too long ago, but there's their review and tour. where he's going to end up